How are you guys doing? It is Thursday, November 5th, 2020. I here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. And for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to take you through the halfway point of the group stage of the Champions League. Just so you know, in the first half of the season, which usually happens between about August and December, that is when the tournament for the Champions League starts, which consists of the best teams from the European countries. It consists of the champion, which is the top team from a lot of those countries. And depending on how competitive the league is, most countries will either bring about one or two teams. Like that's the case in about France. That's the biggest country where it happens. You see it in the Netherlands, Austria, just all of the countries in Europe that have a league. Usually they send their champions to the Champions League. But then in countries like England, Italy, Germany, and Spain, they send 4 teams to Champions League, and they kind of put all those teams together so they can bring the best players and the best talent together. So for the first half between August and December, while deciding the teams that qualify for the 16 teams that start knockout stages, they have to play, or each team or each group, there's 8 of them. It carries about 4 of the teams that are randomly selected, and every team has to play one another twice at home and on the road to see who qualifies for the knockout stages. And how they decide who goes to the knockout stages is whoever competes, whatever 2 teams compete the best out of the group of 4. Once again, every group has 4 champions or championship level or caliber teams that play in it. So, of course, the 2 teams that qualify for the best in their group will go on and move on. And the way the tables are scored is that if you get a win, you get 3 points in the table. If you get a draw, it's 1 because it's better than a loss. And if you get a loss, you have no points added. So really quickly, I'm going to take you through what the halfway point of this group stage is looking like, and how all of this is gonna go into who qualifies for the knockout rounds for Champions League, just to decide who goes on to win. Taking you down group by group. In Group A, the reigning Champions League champs, Bayern Munich. They are perfect in their table. They have won all 3 of their games against the other 3 teams that they're playing. Atletico Madrid, Lokomotiv Moscow, and FC Salzburg, they're able to beat all 3 of them. And because they won 3 games, each game being 3 points, Bayern Munich is sitting at the top of that league with 9 points, looking as though they have a really good shot of making it through to the next round. Of course, mathematically, FC Salzburg, because they have 1 point, they're able to, if Bayern Munich loses out and FC Salzburg wins out, FC Salzburg could technically make it if Atletico Madrid and Lokomotiv Moscow don't catch up to the point total, by the way. But that's kind of how the Champions League would work. But so far, Bayern Munich is sitting at the top. Sitting behind them is Atletico Madrid with 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss at 4 points in the league. Their only loss coming to Bayern Munich. And sitting in third, you have Lokomotiv Moscow with 2 draws and a loss so far. Their only loss coming to Bayern. And they have 2 points in this table because they have 2 draws, which is still not enough, which doesn't equal 1 win in this group. And sitting in last is FC Salzburg, who has 1 draw and 2 losses, giving them only 1 point, but they're still mathematically able to take over and possibly win the group at this halfway stage. Sitting in Group B, of Borussia Mönchengladbach from Germany. Right now, they are sitting at the top of their table because they have 1 win and 2 draws, which adds up to 3 plus 2, 5 points in the table. In second place, you have Shakhtar Donetsk. They are sitting in second with 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss, sitting with 4 points, tied with them, but they have a worse. And sitting right below Shakhtar Donetsk is Real Madrid, whose only loss came against Shakhtar Donetsk, with 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss, with 4 points in the table. And sitting at 4th is Inter out of Italy. Personally, out of that group, I think Real Madrid and Borussia Mönchengladbach are going to be the 2 teams that make it out. But once again, Internacional is 1 win away from catching Borussia Mönchengladbach because only 3 points separates those 2 teams. Jumping out to Group C, Manchester City is so far, they're perfect, just like Bayern Munich. They've won all 3 of their games. Sitting in second place is FC Porto with 2 wins and 1 loss. Obviously, their only loss coming against Manchester City so far. In third, you have Olympiacos out of Greece, who has 1 win and 2 losses so far, with 3 points in the league. And of course, Marseille sitting at the bottom, they have 0. Technically, they could tie Manchester City if they went out, but of course, that's very unlikely. Out of this group, it looks as though Manchester City and FC Porto are looking like the strongest 2 sides out of Group C that may qualify. But at the end, any one of those teams, or Olympiacos, could eventually overtake FC Porto, but I think that's very unlikely. Jumping to Group D, Liverpool is the third team that is perfect so far, the second British team. They are 3-0, beating Ajax, Atalanta, and Midtjylland. And Ajax and Atalanta are both sitting in that second spot with 4 points each. They both have a win, a draw, and a loss, and it looks like that position might be up for grabs. As Midtjylland looks as though they're not going to get a... It doesn't seem as though they're going to get a spot in qualifying rounds or in knockout stages. But right now it looks as though Liverpool, and if I were to call it, I think Atalanta might move on, but of course you can never count Ajax out. Looking at Group E, Chelsea right now is winning that group, tied with Sevilla. They both have 1 win, 1 draw, and no losses. Their draw coming against each other. And Krasnodar and Stade Rennes, they're sitting with 1 point each at the bottom of the table. It looks as though Chelsea and Sevilla are going to be the 2 teams that make it out of Group E. Jumping down to Group F, it looks as though with their win, Borussia Dortmund was able to jump to number 1 in Group F. And after being third, Borussia Dortmund was able to jump up to the top. They now have 2 wins and 1 loss, which adds up to 6 points in the table. Right behind them, you have Lazio with 1 win and 2 draws, Club Brugge with 1 win, a draw, and a loss, and Zenit St. Petersburg with 1 draw and 2 losses. They're sitting at the bottom. They can still technically qualify for knockout stages with Borussia Dortmund only having 1 loss, but it looks very likely. It looks very unlikely. I think that Borussia Dortmund and Lazio may come out of this because Ciro Immobile is really kind of pumping a lot of energy into this team, like they could actually win. And Lazio is the only team to beat Dortmund so far. So, I mean, that's also something to note. Group G, Barcelona sitting at the top of that stage as they are the 4th and final team that has gone undefeated through their first 3 matchups, like not even drawing. And then Juventus sitting second with 2 wins and a loss. Their only loss coming to Barcelona. Actually, it seems as though those 2 are going to be the only 2 teams that it looks as though those teams are going to be the 2 that qualify for knockout, as Dynamo Kiev and Ferencváros are both sitting with 1 point in their tables. And last but not least, jumping to Group H, which looks like the most interesting group out of the bunch, Manchester United is sitting with 2 wins and a loss, which adds up to 6 points in the table. Same with RB Leipzig. So right now those teams are sitting at the top, and 2020 Champions League runner-ups, PSG are sitting in third with Istanbul Başakşehir, both with 1 win and 2 losses. As PSG's only win came against Istanbul, but Manchester United and RB Leipzig are both sitting up there. If PSG could win out and eventually win, mathematically, if they win out, they could win the group stage, probably. Or they could even at the worst, they tie with one of the teams if they win out. But of course, with that said, and then Istanbul Başakşehir is still mathematically in it just as much as PSG is. If you had to ask me who was going to make it through, I think it'll be Man U and PSG. But I wouldn't be surprised if RB Leipzig made it through over one of those teams. But right now, that is what Champions League is looking like right now at the half stage of this group stage. Once again, every team has to play one another again. If they played one team at home, they have to play them on the road for the second half of this bit. And of course, the group stage will be done by about November, December. So knockout stages can start in about January, February, just to get the schedule back on track. And that's what Champions League is looking like. But right now, it is Thursday, November 5th, 2020. Out here in this quarantine, I'm James Sims. I want to thank you for listening to all 9 minutes of my piece. I hope all is well. And peace out. I'll see you guys. We're back with Champions League as soon as group stage is finished, so I can explain the knockout round right after the draw is made. I'll probably make 2 separate episodes for those, but you'll see when you get there. Once again, I want to thank you for listening to this entire piece, and peace out.